What's up, y'all? Hope y'all doing good. I'm Anthony K. Thomas, and welcome to Wrestling with Rumors. Welcome, everyone. So, before I get into everything that is this week's episode of Wrestling with Rumors, like I say every week, every rumor that I am about to read to you is exactly what it is. It is a rumor. We can speculate as wildly as we want, but until that rumor is proven fact or true by the company or the person the rumor is about, they remain what they are, rumors. And one other thing, really quickly, is to update you about just me personally, about what I talked about in the beginning of this episode last week about what I'm going through. I'm still going through it. I've been trying to pull myself up, but it's just the weight, I guess, or I don't really know how to describe it, but it's just been really hard to really pick myself up. I mean, I've been able to still do the stuff that I want to do, but like just how I feel is hasn't changed, and I'm still working through that. But I guess I'm having a hard time trying to really describe it. The update, I apologize for that. So let's just forget about that. And let's just get into everything that is a new episode of Wrestling with Rumors. So, while she appeared at Revolution, Fightful Select notes that Ronda Rousey is not all elite. For now, I think it was just a one-time appearance, I guess, I don't know, a lot of people are saying that she did it to just, kind of like a slap in the face to UFC, to WWE, to just TKO in general. A lot of people are saying, and some people are just saying that she just showed up just to be there for a friend. It could be one, it could be the other, it could be she just wanted to see what it was all about, possibly. What's more, they refute the idea that anyone at WWE was surprised by her appearing for AEW, and in fact, they believe she will do anything she can to go against WWE, UFC, and TKO at this point. Basically, she has her beef, she has her reasons, and we just move on. Per Fightful Select, Chris Hero was the friend who reacted out to Ricochet with advice on the offense MS tweet. I'm going to stop here for a second because I want to add more to this. I was going to save this for the end of the episode, but since I went ahead and we brought this up now, I'm going to quickly read a little something from Vince Russo. Vince Russo recently did an episode on Coach and Bro Show where he talked about Ricochet MS comment to a fan. And now there's a whole thing here that I do have, but instead, I'm gonna pick. There's just a few things. I'm just gonna pick the last few things here and then go from there. So, picking up from right here. Now about Tony Khan, if you're a leader and you own this company and all of this sale is going through and your media rights deal is up in the air, you've got to come out and address your guy, Ricochet. All these companies looking to invest in live events and looking at AEW too. How do you not say something? Ricochet makes this comment and you don't step in. In my opinion, these are really bad business decisions. Tony not saying anything feeds the narrative that he lets the Jerichos, the Omegas, the Bucks, the Cody Rhodes, the CM Punks walk in, do whatever they want, and then he cleans it up without saying a word. Why is that, Coach? And then Coach asks a question, then Vince Russo says, why is that, Coach? Because he wants to be liked. That supersedes everything. Do you think Vince McMahon cared whether you liked him or not? No. Tony wants to be liked. He wants to be everybody's friend, everybody's buddy. He wants to be one of the boys. That's a problem. He wants to be liked by the fans. That's the number one issue. He's not thinking business. He's thinking about liked, being adored, being, being Booker of the Year. That's where Tony Khan's head is at. So in that, basically, there's a lot in here that Vince Russo said in that interview with Jonathan Coachman on that show, and I agree with, and it's rare for me to say this, but I agree with Vince Russo when it comes to what Ricochet said not too long ago, leaving a comment about a fan having MS. Tony Khan should have said and done something to what Ricochet said, whether it was heat or to add to his character. It still should have been something Tony Khan should have said. And he has been silent. He has been quiet through all of it. Everything that Ricochet has been saying, all the comments he says, especially with this MS comment, Tony Khan has been silent through all of it. And I agree with Vince Russo about Tony Khan being a leader, and that's not showing real leadership if you're not stepping up and saying something about what is currently going on about especially with this thing with Ricochet. So that needs to change on Tony Khan's point of view. He needs to not care who likes him or not, because he's running a business, and in a business you're not going to satisfy everybody. I mean, in life you're not going to satisfy everybody, but in business you're not going to satisfy everybody. You're going to piss off a lot of people, but in the name of business, doing what's right for business, doing what's right for the company, to keep the company going and to add longevity to the company and all those eyes that are potentially looking at you and seeing the kind of business person you are, the kind of leader you are, makes a difference in getting those companies to sign on and adding to your company and adding longevity to your company and taking your company to places that your company has never been. So that needs to change for Tony Khan, or get somebody else to run AEW. But I'm going to move on. WrestleVotes notes that there have been a lot of changes in the build-up to WrestleMania 42. And that build-up, those changes are strictly because there have been so many unexpected injuries within WWE with matches we were supposed to have. However, one match that it looks like we might still have is Braun Breaker versus Seth Rollins, because Braun Breaker is back at the Performance Center and is doing everything to get cleared. So if that goes the way I believe it will, we should be seeing Braun Breaker fairly soon back on Raw once he's cleared. Selfmade Pro claims there are those within WWE who believe AEW is the better product, but others who are still dismissive of it. I don't think it really matters if one product is better than the other. More so when it comes to professional wrestling, because everybody has their opinions about what is better versus what is better than the other. And I think it's everybody's prerogative to like what they like and say, this is better than this, and because that's their opinion. But it shouldn't matter. I mean, this kind of adds to tribalism a little bit. If you love WWE, great. If you love AEW, great. If you love both AEW and WWE, great. If you are a pro wrestling fan and you watch something from WWE, you watch something from AEW, you go here and watch something from TNA, you watch something here from New Japan Pro Wrestling, and watch something from all the independents, and you just like a good, well-rounded pro wrestling fan that likes a little bit of everything, like the variety of everything, then that's great. At the end of the day, pro wrestling fans are pro wrestling fans, and they love what they love, and we shouldn't be giving shit to anybody who might like one or the other or both. It's just the love of pro wrestling, and it's beautiful, it's real, and it's life. According to WrestleVotes, WWE is optimistic that Chelsea Green will be medically cleared sooner than later, but it's not clear if that means she'll be back in the ring in time for WrestleMania. It's cutting it very close to whether or not she'll be back in the ring in time for WrestleMania. Um, I'm gonna take the safe bet on this and say that I think she'll miss WrestleMania as far as having a match, but I think she'll, like she has on SmackDown, I think she'll have some kind of engagement in the ring. I mean, not in the ring, in the backstage area, some way. WWE sources told Votes that Gunther is expected to have a major role at WrestleMania despite his recent absence on Raw. with a couple of weeks before WrestleMania and not really knowing what Gunther's plans are for WrestleMania, there is a chance. And I saw this, and I saw someone make a prediction of this, and I want to say this on here. I don't remember the name of the person who said this, or the handle on the person who said this, but I actually like that idea. It's been a while since we've seen that kind of match, but I think it is possible that we get some kind of like open challenge match at WrestleMania where Gunther comes out and says whoever wants to face him, come face the ring general, and then out comes Ilya Dragunov. I could see, I like that prediction that person made, in which a prediction of Gunther versus Ilya Dragunov at WrestleMania to just happen. Like, there's no build. If you understand the history of Ilya Dragunov and Gunther, at least within WWE, starting from NXT UK through NXT, then you understand the matches they've had, the wars they've gone through. It would be quite a sight, quite a match to have at WrestleMania 42. So that would be cool to see, a Gunther versus Ilya Dragunov at WrestleMania 42, night 1, night 2, it doesn't matter. It would just be really cool to see if it goes down that way. So I'm going to be something to hope for. And if it doesn't happen, that's fine. But if it does, awesome. The outlet also claims that WWE is planning to run Saturday night's main event at Madison Square Garden in New York City on July 18th. That's great news. Saturday night's main event returning to the Mecca, the home of homes, Madison Square Garden. Bodyslam.net heard from sources that Bianca Belair has started to do some light training as part of her effort to return to WWE. That's good news. Hopefully we should see her sometime after WrestleMania, if maybe like a surprise appearance at WrestleMania. Bodyslam.net heard from sources, pardon me, I already read that one. Earlier this week, Chris Jericho filed a trademark. Earlier last week, Chris Jericho filed a trademark, the term cornerstone. There is speculation this will be related to his new gimmick when he returns to pro wrestling. Probably something, considering he's still under contract with AEW, it's probably going to be something with AEW for him to finish out his contract with AEW. So probably something with that. For whatever it's worth, HBO Max April schedule lists AEW Collision as airing on Thursday, April 16th, rather than its usual Saturday, April 18th time slot during WrestleMania weekend. That's a smart idea. Why you don't want to have your show on the same night as WrestleMania, because you know that based on rumors and based on streaming numbers, there's going to be a lot more people who are going to be watching WrestleMania than Collision. There'll probably be people who will watch Collision later on, possibly. But as far as Saturday night, it's better to have it on Thursday. So you got Wednesday night Dynamite and then Thursday night Collision. There you go. Now, I want to move on. Pardon me with my eye here. Now, there's a few things I just want to touch on really quick. Since now that we have read and discussed the rumors, first thing I want to talk about is what's going on in the world, the real life world things with going on, especially what's going on in the war right now, and this minor shutdown that's really causing headaches with TSA and people getting through TSA lines. And I saw on the news that there was someone who waited in a TSA line for about 9 hours, which is crazy. So, but the long waits at TSA to make your flight, even having to miss your flight and having to reschedule your flight, is making it harder for those in pro wrestling with what's going on in the world to travel where they need to go. Not impossible. It's just making it harder for them to get there, and sometimes even having to skip the airport and having to drive all day and all night, or in general all night, like they used to back in the day, driving from city to city. So it's stuff like that. And then, of course, like I brought up last week, with what's going on in the world with the war, with especially in the Middle East, having to possibly change the 3 events for WWE when it comes to Night of Champions, Crown Jewel, and WrestleMania. It's a long time out to think about it, but I think Night of Champions will possibly be something that will need to be changed. Crown Jewel is a maybe, and WrestleMania 43 is a distant maybe. But these are 3 things that I'm hoping WWE is already starting to have a plan B for: backup arenas, for in the off chance this war goes on to next year. And if you were someone like me who was alive, who was born either in the 80s or in the 90s, and you're my age, and you were in high school or even in middle school during the Afghanistan war, and understanding the term forever war and how long that war took, there is a chance that this could be the same thing with what's going on in Iran. So hoping WWE has those backup plans beginning, or at least starting to plan those backup plans. So it's tough. It's bad business, what's going on in the world, and especially when you look at it as a pro wrestler and having to get from one place to the other, and especially if you're a pro wrestling company and you're wanting to do something here, but you can't because of what's going on. So it's just about it's about finding the detour to try to figure it out. And next thing I want to talk about is artificial intelligence, AI. It's fastly starting to take over a lot of things. If there are apps already where artificial intelligence, for you to talk, to get help from AI. They have like the AI buddies that checks on you, make sure you're good, and all that other stuff. And AI as far as in businesses has already been starting to take over a lot of jobs, as businesses have started to lay off thousands upon thousands of people from the jobs they're doing, so that because AI is taking over those jobs. And outside of pro wrestling, when you look at artificial intelligence, the real question becomes, what will AI not take over? And if AI takes over everything, it feels like we're seemingly going down the path of, if you've seen the movie by Pixar, it's called WALL-E. It feels like that's the path it's going down, where we're just all very fat, and we're up in a spaceship, and all we're in a chair, moving around in the chair, sleeping, eating, while artificial intelligence is doing everything else. I hope it's not that, but it feels like it's going that way with artificial intelligence, especially how fast it's moving. Let's just hope it's not going to be like in Avengers Age of Ultron, where it's like that. I know it. Let's hope it's not like that. It could be like that, or it could be like something like iRobot in a way, in a sense. That caught me off guard. But as far as now, AI in pro wrestling, it could be good, it can be bad. I think in a way that it could be bad. Let me go with the bad part first. In that it replaces pro wrestlers, in which pro wrestling companies just use artificial intelligence to set up the match and add all these things that it wants artificial intelligence to do in that match, and then it puts it on TV for everyone to watch, and then and doing it like that, then you don't have to worry about injuries at all. You can continue the flow of these characters that you created through artificial intelligence. You can being able to have these championship matches, not even using arenas anymore, because everything you're doing within your pro wrestling company is through artificial intelligence. So you can make up the arenas and how you want and the stage and all that stuff. And in that sense, it's bad because that replaces a lot of jobs within pro wrestling, as far as the camera, as far as the people who set up the stage and the arena, setting up the bookers, the producers, the talent. That would be bad. In a good way for artificial intelligence, it can help with creating with adding to vignettes of like certain things you might want for a vignette when a pro wrestler is talking, but you can't get that or you can't afford that, but you can do it through artificial intelligence and adding that thing in editing, stuff like that. Or making vignettes with artificial intelligence to add more to the character. Little stuff like that, and using AI. So yeah, that's what I feel. That's just a little bit of what I feel when it comes to artificial intelligence possibly making its way into pro wrestling. It can be good, it can be bad. Let's hope it stays more on the good side than on the bad side, because in all honesty, when it comes to pro wrestling, you can't replace the feeling that you get when your favorite pro wrestler steps out of the arena, steps onto the stage and walks down the ramp to the ring. Especially when you get like a CM Punk and he's yelling it's clobbering time, or you get a Roman Reigns that's coming out and everybody puts the one up, or a Cody Rhodes when that right moment hits and everybody goes whoa, or a Stone Cold Steve Austin, or a Rock, or a Kenny Omega, or an MJF, or a Hangman Adam Page, Samoa Joe, a John Cena, all these pro wrestlers from all these different companies. Nothing replaces the real feeling of a real pro wrestler, male or female. Like when a Ric Flair, when a Charlotte Flair, Bianca Belair, a Jade Cargill come out. All of that. You want to keep that real feeling, because without it, then what? Then it misses the heart, the soul of it. And so the last thing I want to talk about really quick, this one came unexpected to me, but so WWE, I mean, I kind of seen it for a while, but now it's really kind of escalating, and that's WWE and ESPN. It does not work. And I think there's a lot of reasons why it's not working, especially the pricing that it costs. And that's really on ESPN side. That's really on ESPN for how much $29.99 a month costs. But as far as the matching of the two companies coming together, it just doesn't feel like it's really working. It hasn't been a year yet. And it just feels like this would have been so much better if it was PLEs on Netflix. I don't think we would have had this kind of issue if PLEs were on Netflix like they are internationally. But here we are. And now there's a lawsuit with ESPN and WWE. And there will be more to come out about this lawsuit. And once it does, I mean, there's some stuff out already that involves a fan, but I want more to come out before I really kind of lay it out. But at least for now, you got this lawsuit, And it seems like ESPN is going to be on the side where they're against WWE. So I feel that the sooner WWE and ESPN can end this, and I know it's going to be a while, there's an option after a couple of years where they can end it. So I feel like when that option comes up, they're going to end it. And I'm hoping after they end it, WWE just goes to Netflix, because WWE on Netflix, it works, and it's a lot better there. Honestly, they were fine on Peacock, and I understand they went to ESPN really for the money, because ESPN was offering so much more money than what Peacock was offering to keep and what Netflix was offering to add. So it is what it is on that. But I feel that this is not working, and I feel the sooner that WWE and ESPN can end this relationship, the better. But it's a hell of a thing to be in right now. It's a very tricky thing to be in, especially with WrestleMania. Just hopes it gets all sorted, and a lot of this stuff that's going on with this lawsuit is really on TKO, because of the lack of what they're doing, and what they're not offering, and what they used to offer before, as far as what WWE used to offer before, and they've taken that away. And I don't believe that. I don't believe in that. That's not cool on their part. And all of that needs to change, because it's really coming down to what I said a couple weeks ago about how TKO, that owns UFC and WWE, Endeavor, the whole thing, needs to really understand the fan base of pro wrestling. And it's not the millionaires and billionaires. I mean, sure, there are some, but it's middle class people. It's people under middle class that do everything they can to save up, to buy a ticket, to go to the show, to pay for the streaming site so they can watch Raw, so they can watch SmackDown on USA Network, so they can watch NXT on the CW network, so they can watch the main roster PLEs on ESPN. And with how money is, how the economy is for a lot of people, and how prices keep going up as long as prices keep going up, there's going to be people who won't be able to afford any of this stuff ever. There's already a number of people who can't afford this stuff. I can barely afford any of this stuff. So it just needs to change. And TKO just needs to have a better understanding about their fan base, because they don't. And I get they have to make some kind of changes in pricing because of how things are going on in the world. You kind of have to keep up with that. When costs go up, your costs have to go up as well. But reasonably, and this doesn't feel reasonably. Maybe I'm just talking outside of my head, but I'm just saying what I feel and tell you at least on this issue of it. But anyway, that'll do it for Wrestling with Rumors. I appreciate all of you for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can keep up with all new episodes of Wrestling with Rumor and Rumor of the Day drops. Go ahead and hit a like, leave a comment, keep the conversation going outside of this episode of Wrestling with Rumors. I'll be back next Sunday for a new episode of Wrestling with Rumors. One other thing I want to add, in the coming weeks, about a week before WrestleMania, I'm going to do a WrestleMania edition of Wrestling with Rumors in a couple weeks, where we just talk about the matches. I will have a few rumors, but we're just going to run through the matches, all the matches that are confirmed for WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2 in the coming weeks. So look out for that episode. But for now, don't forget to take care of yourselves. I will continue to try and do the same, and I will see you all next Sunday on that next one. Peace, y'all.